To get into Raj Rant the day, I just want to hit this 247 Sports article. It's from earlier this week, and apparently they spoke to agents, coaches, collective operators, players as well, and more insiders behind the scenes, just to try to get a realistic figure, the range of what certain positions are worth on the NIL market in college football. And here are some of the numbers that they have. So they have basically, if you go look at the DB market, let's start there. Well, we'll start with the cheapest market. All right. We'll start with the one that has the most range from it, from the lowest to the highest. It says here the wide receiver market range, 75,000 to 300,000. Is what basically college football NIL market for each position. Now they said this is usually determined by the transfer portal because players really don't know their worth. Now you know it coming out of high school, you'll get in. Some guys get NIL deals, but in the transfer portal, it works more like the free market, like free agency. So a wide receiver, and let's say whatever your ranking is, you're the fifth ranked wide receiver in the transfer portal. What would you get? What would your NIL deal be when you're in the transfer portal? And the transfer portal is inextricably linked to NIL. Like they're just linked together. And that's how you get guys views. Not all the time, but most of the time you're getting really good players via the transfer portal. There's a dollar figure that is associated with it, an NIL figure associated with it. So it does say this is what specifically most of these guys are getting in a transfer portal. It doesn't talk about the deals of guys coming out of high school. I'll put that out there.
You mean Dabo's transfers?
Dabo's transfers, exactly. But I will say this: I do think guys renegotiate. I think when you come in as a freshman and then you start as a freshman, I think there's some renegotiation because you threaten to hit the transfer portal. Remember, you don't have to necessarily hit the transfer portal. All you need are reports that he's going to hit the transfer portal. And have we heard that from some Texas players? Xavier Worthy before? Yeah. Right. Report Malik Murphy. Yeah. All you need is reports that he's going to hit the transfer portal, and somebody within the organization, the program will come to you and go, okay, about these reports that are hitting the transfer portal, are they real? Because nobody knows if you're in the transfer portal until you do, because the coaches aren't privy to the information until you're actually in the transfer portal. You go through compliance. You don't even you go to compliance and you go, hey, I want to be in the transfer portal. And then the coaches will learn once they go in the transfer portal and go, oh, damn, we didn't know so-and-so was in there. But if there are reports that you're going to be in there, well, hell, those reports that was on Texas Football. That was at Inside Texas. That was at Horns 24/7. And those reports got back to John Bianco. John Bianco, he said, "Hey, Sark, you see his report about this one of your players in the transfer portal? Oh, really? Let's go talk to that guy. Boom, 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 and let's go talk to his representative." That's how you get, in my opinion, that's how you get to renegotiate your NIL deal. And I've heard that's happened on the 40 acres a few times already.
Yeah,
which makes sense, right? Makes sense. It's the free market.
Yeah, no, we see that. We see that happen a lot.
Exactly.
I mean, we saw that with multiple D tackles that we thought, well, that D tackle might be in the transfer portal. Oh, ding, ding. A week later. No, they're not. I don't know why those reports are crazy.
Those are exactly. He said he was going to hit the transfer portal. He said he was expected to. He's not expected to anymore. That's exactly right. I think a lot of that is, all right, you know what? Let's renegotiate. Let's get you a little bit more in the NIL deal. All right. So wide receiver, the widest range from 75,000 to 300,000. I've said before, I think wide receiver is the deepest position in football at every level. That includes college. You can get really good wide receivers via the transfer portal. Texas is a prime example of that. Look at what they got this year. You got Golden. You got Bolden. You got Bond. Last year, you got A.D. Mitchell. You can get really good wide receivers via the transfer. Hell, Texas had good wide receivers leave their program and go. Yeah, that's Isaiah Nayer, who had double-digit touchdowns at his previous stop at Wyoming, and then now he had to transfer to Nebraska from Texas. That's a good wide receiver, but didn't play here at Texas. So I think wide receiver is the deepest position in football, and I think that's reflected in the transfer portal kind of NIL value. The next range, or at least the lowest to the highest, you have linebacker. Linebacker market ranges based on this story from 100,000 to 300,000. That sounds about right. I mean, I'm surprised that linebacker has a higher floor financially, at least monetarily, than wide receiver. But wide receiver is deeper. I don't think linebackers is deep, so I think linebacker, you may have more value because of the rarity of it. Like I said, I think wide receiver is really, really a deep position. At DB, 120,000, 225,000. So DB doesn't have the ceiling that a wide receiver or the linebackers have, but it's got a higher floor than both of those positions. 120,000 is what you start at. Is a DB. So Robbie would have been in the transfer portal. Then I gotta get my NIL value, have a good year, all conference, boom, hit transfer portal, and get yourself a $250,000, something like that. All right. We've talked about how I think D tackle, I've said this before, is a premium position. Been saying it for the last 3-4 years. I think now you're seeing that reflected at the NFL level and at the college level too. Remember, there's a report that Dominique Williams, kid from TCU, wanted like 7 figures. Where they reported, at least that was rumored, I should say, not reported, rumored, from a man, Jeff Ketchum, threw that out there. I saw some LSU podcast throw that out there as well. And that was kind of why Brian Kelly went off about NIL. He ended up going to Oklahoma, but here it says D-line range, 250,000 to 600,000 on D-line. Ooh. So if you are a really good D tackle or D lineman and you're not getting your market value at your program, hit that transfer portal and go get it. Good for you. Damn, I was born too early. All right, getting back to it here. The O-line market range they have here, 350,000 to $500,000, 350,000 to 500,000, just to be an O lineman hitting the transfer portal. Damn. And I'm assuming these are high level guys, so everybody's not getting this, guys. These are the better players, the ones who are the higher rated, higher ranked players in the portal. Trust me, everybody's not getting this kind of back. Everybody's getting a little bit of some, but you ain't getting this kind of chunk of change. This is for the better players. You're all conference caliber type players. We talked about the wide receiver market, running back market, 200,000 to 300,000 for a quality running back via the transfer portal. That's a lot for a running back. Running back, you would have thought, based on the NFL valuation of the running back and how the value continues to drop precipitously, running back market has at the college level a higher floor monetarily than wide receiver, than linebacker, than DB. And the ceiling monetarily is as high as wide receiver and higher than DB, as high as wide receiver and as high as linebacker and higher than the DB range. So running backs, if you're a running back in college, that's where you get your bag. Don't be trying to go NFL, you'll get your bag later, but the truth is in NFL, you are devalued and your shelf life is extremely short as any skill position in the league. So the truth is, if you're a really good running back, you'll still get drafted 3rd round in the league. But at the college level, you probably hit that transfer portal a couple of times because you're a really good running back. You can end up making $500,000 if you do it the right way, potentially.
What is Ollie Gordon doing?
It's a great, because Gundy ain't giving out no NIL dollars.
Someone's got to be giving him some money there.
Yeah, they got a sugar daddy.
Maybe there's got to be something, because I'm all for playing at the school you want to play at, be the best. I'm not saying you should chase the money always, but if you're saying, hey, this guy's one of the best running backs in college football.
He is.
And he's at a place that notoriously does not approve of NIL and transfers.
I didn't think about that. Sometimes T-Boone Pickens, like Grand Key, it's got to be hooking him up.
Yeah, somebody.
You're right. They may not hook everybody up because Gundy he's kind of like Dabo Swinney, very anti-transfer portal, anti-NIL. But you're right about that. I never thought about that. And there were reports that he was going to transfer right after the season. There were reports about that. There it is. Mm-hmm. So might have renegotiation there happening. All right, so there you go. Running back market. Let's go O-line here. O-line market, 350,000 to 500,000 for the O-line, and that's pretty good there if you're an offensive lineman. And we haven't had many Texas offensive linemen transfer portal because they're making at least 50,000 a year just being a scholarship offensive lineman at Texas via the Pancake Factory. See, at Texas, you at least get that as your starting point as an O lineman, and I think that's worked beautifully for Texas. Quarterback market, $500,000 to $800,000 range for a quarterback. And like I said, I believe that because we have coaches on the record. Remember, Matt Rule is one of those coaches that went on the record when he was asked about NIL and how they were going to handle NIL. And remember, he said a good quarterback in the portal costs 1.5 or 2 million. Let's make sure we all understand what's happening. There are some teams that have $6 to $7 million players playing for them. Remember, Ryan Day said, or at least he told a group of boosters and donors, constituents, he said, do you know how much Ohio State's athletic department basically needs to keep their roster elite? He said $13 million is what he needs to keep their roster elite. And then went on to say that he needs $2 million for a top quarterback, $1 million for top edge rushers and top O linemen. So maybe for the elite universities, they're paying even more money than some of the other maybe mid-majors and some of the other big-time programs. So there you go. Damn. I was born too early, Patrick. Born way too early. All right. We come back.